The emergence of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a political and strategic coalition formed by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, marks one of the most consequential shifts in West Africa's geopolitical landscape in decades. What began as a joint response to regional insecurity and political isolation has rapidly evolved into a profound realignment of economic priorities, diplomatic alliances, and national sovereignty. The three nations are now openly challenging an order that shaped the region for more than half a century. An order dominated by foreign corporations, asymmetric partnerships, and a system of resource extraction that benefited outsiders more than local populations. For decades, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso occupied a position considered peripheral in global geopolitics, strategic for their resources, yet politically dependent, often pressured by international institutions and foreign capitals. Today, however, the ground is shifting. The AES, built on a shared experience of political rupture and a unified vision of independence, is recalibrating the balance of power in West Africa. This is no longer a matter of rhetoric or symbolic gestures. It is a structural change, a deliberate and coordinated effort to reclaim control over uranium, oil, gold, logistics corridors, and strategic infrastructure that had long operated under external influence. The uranium break, the end of a half-century era. Nowhere is this transformation more visible than in Niger's uranium sector. For more than 50 years, uranium mined in Niger fueled France's nuclear power plants, forming the backbone of the French energy model. Areva, later renamed Orano, had entrenched itself deeply into Nigerian soil, extracting a resource vital to maintain France's electricity supply. The operations, while presented as a partnership, were widely criticized for their unequal benefits and weak local impact. All of that changed overnight. The decision by Niger's new authorities to nationalize the Samai and push Orano out of its long-standing positions marked a historic rupture. For the first time in modern history, Niger asserted full sovereignty over a resource essential to the global energy industry. French officials were stunned. European institutions raised concerns, but the AES nations stood firm. The era in which foreign companies dictated terms in the Sahel's mining sector appears to be coming to an end. Beyond uranium, a systematic dismantling of old privileges. Across the region, other giants have seen their influence waver. Total Energies, for decades a dominant player in the oil and gas sector, finds its privileged access challenged. Castel Group, known for its near monopoly on beverages and large-scale industries in Francophone Africa, faces new regulations and scrutiny from governments seeking to break monopolistic structures. In each of these cases, the shift is not merely administrative. It is ideological. Mines, ports, customs routes, energy corridors, and regional logistics networks are gradually transitioning from being designed for foreign profit to being integrated into national development strategies. These changes, coordinated across three nations with shared borders, amplify one another. The Sahel is no longer acting as a collection of isolated states, but as a bloc with a unified mission: economic emancipation. The strategy behind the AES, from political alliance to regional power bloc, the creation of the AES came in the wake of strained relationships with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Sanctions, political pressure, and ideological differences accelerated the withdrawal of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. What initially appeared to be a defensive political move became the foundation for a new regional architecture. The AES is now positioning itself as a future economic community, with plans for a shared currency, a regional security force, harmonized trade policies, and integrated infrastructure development. Such ambitions were unimaginable a few years ago, but the political cohesion of the three military-led governments has allowed them to pursue decisions that civilian administrations, often constrained by external pressure, were reluctant to take. A shockwave in Paris and across Europe. In Paris, the shift is perceived as a geopolitical earthquake. France, which had maintained deep strategic, economic, and military ties in the Sahel since the independence era, finds itself facing a new reality: diminishing influence, eroding diplomatic leverage, and a shrinking economic footprint. For the first time in decades, French companies no longer operate with automatic access or diplomatic backing. Contracts once considered untouchable are renegotiated or terminated outright. A symbolic turning point came when France officially recognized the AES biometric passport, a document that embodies the political rebirth of the three nations. What looked like a simple administrative update is, in fact, a geopolitical acknowledgement. The Sahel is no longer a region under tutelage, but a power bloc capable of shaping its own diplomatic future. Economic reorientation, from raw extraction to local transformation. Each AES country is pursuing policies that reflect this new era of sovereignty. Niger is redirecting its uranium exports to new partners in Asia and the Middle East, breaking decades of dependency on European buyers. Burkina Faso is extending state oversight on its gold mines, an industry plagued by capital flight and illicit networks. Mali is investing in local transformation units for hydrocarbons and lithium, seeking to create value within its borders rather than exporting raw materials. These are not improvised decisions. They represent a long-envisioned aspiration to ensure that the wealth of the subsoil becomes a driver of development, not a source of permanent vulnerability. Opportunities and risks of the new sovereignty. This transition is not without obstacles. The region still grapples with security challenges, limited industrial capacity, and the risk of replacing old forms of dependency with new ones from non-Western actors. Moreover, attracting investment on terms that respect sovereignty remains a delicate balance. Yet for the citizens of the Sahel, the discourse has shifted. What once sounded like political idealism is now a lived reality. Streets, markets, universities, and public debates reflect a new sentiment. Better to face the hardships of sovereignty than to return to the comforts of dependency. A redefined future. As France recalculates its strategy and multinational companies reassess their options, one fact becomes increasingly clear. The Sahel is rewriting its story. Not as a region defined by conflict or poverty, but as a bloc willing to redefine global partnerships on its own terms. A historical transformation is underway, one that reconfigures alliances, challenges decades-old power structures, and compels the world to recognize a simple but decisive truth. The Sahel belongs to the Sahel, and it has decided to reclaim its future.